Okay, good day. My name is Abu Sunday. Welcome to our first class on QGIS, Quantum Geographic Information System. Okay, this is a software that we're going to use for this particular GIS training. Okay, it's going to be an interactive section. So what we'll do is make sure that at the end of every class, every lesson, you practice whatever that we have done. Okay, so take your time and actually do the practice. All right, this is QGIS, and you just need to go straight to the point. Now, the first thing that you need to put into consideration in QGIS or in GIS generally is possibly the coordinate reference system. Because when you open a new environment, when you open a new QGIS environment, you actually need to check which particular coordinate reference system that you are using. Okay, that will actually help you to know, so that you know when you are creating other layers or when you are adding any other layer, you can actually know which coordinate reference system you are going to use. Okay, if you don't actually know what coordinate reference system is, you can refer back to our previous videos or our other videos that relate to that explain about coordinates, or you can actually search for it on Google and read more about what the coordinate reference system is all about. But for this, we'll go straight to the point and work with the coordinate. All right, so so click on project here, and then we click on property. Okay, now based on the fact that we have different locations as regard to the use of this particular videos, we're not going to use projected coordinate system. We are going to use World Geodetic System, which is WGS, so that you can actually, anybody in any state and in any country can actually make use of it, so that there will be no confusion. But let's assume you, on your own, you can actually use the projected coordinate system of your location. Okay, so this is the project property. So I'll click on CRS. Okay, CRS means coordinate reference system. Okay, so we'll look for example, we have WGS 84 here already. So I will just make use of that by clicking on it and then click OK. Now, in case you want to search for your own, possibly you want to make use of projected coordinate system, you can just click on search bar there, and then you search for, let's assume I want Mina. So you see we have our Mina UTME zone 32. Okay, so we can make use of that. All right, but for this particular video, I want us to make use of WGS. Okay, so let's just use our WGS. Okay. Okay, so make use of the WGS 84, and then I can now click OK from here. Okay, so we have our project reference system set. Okay, so the next thing to do now is, now we look at GIS, we look at the aspect at which we bring in data or different sources of you getting GIS data. Alright, and first thing is one way you can get your GIS data is actually pick your GPS yourself and you move around and pick a coordinate of a particular property or the data that you want to actually get. Let's assume you can move around your area and possibly pick all the hospitals within your local government or within your communities, or all the schools within your community, and then you load it on QGIS. Okay. Another option, again, you can actually download your data, okay, from the internet. Okay, there are a lot of sites that you can download your shapefile data from. Okay, before I continue, I can still make a brief explanation on what the shapefile means. You know, in GIS we have different data format, right? Let's say we have raster and then we have vector. All right, so vector is also divided into three, which is line, point, and polygon. So any of those data that is going either line, point, and polygon, as well as that line is a vector, is saved as a shapefile. That's the file format. So when you are creating, possibly you'll be hearing the word please send me the shapefile or download the shapefile and all that. So that is the file format of the GIS vector data. Okay, so we are going to be using some of those terminologies. All right, so we'll go to, so as I said, you can download it from the internet, and then at the same time you can georeference your old map that you have. Okay, this is the existing data that you have, and you can just scan them and georeference them and then digitize them again. Okay, that is converting the raster data to digital to a vector data. Okay, so now but for this, what we are going to do first is to actually learn how we can create our layer. Okay, create our shapefile layer, so that we can be able to know how we can digitize in this empty space. Alright, so the first thing is that you go to your layer, you click on layer. Now we have a create layer, and then we have add layer. Okay, now we are going to create layer because we don't have any layer to add, like we don't have any data yet to add, right? So I'm going to create a new layer. Now we have new GeoPackage. New GeoPackage has to do with a new, like the word GeoPackage, that is package, like database. Okay, alright, but for this we are not going to be doing talk about new GeoPackage yet, because we don't need to create any database now. So we'll go straight to a new shapefile. Alright, so I'll click on it. Now here it's talking about the file name. Right, now if you type the name of the file, let's say the name of the layer that you want to save, if you type it straight here, your work will still save. But the point is that in GIS, data organization is actually very, very important. Okay, you actually need to consider the location at which you are saving your data. Okay, so what we'll do now, instead of you typing the name, you have to click on this box here, right, or this button here, so that it will take you to a file directory or a folder directory where you can actually save them, so that you know exact place that you are saving your data. All right, so I'll click. All right, let's assume I go to my project, and then I have a folder called tutorial there. So let's say I'll create a new folder inside that tutorial, and then I call it GIS. Okay, so I call it GIS training. Okay, let's change this to GIS. Okay, let's say we call it GIS training, and then now I'll open this GIS training. Now inside this GIS training, I'm going to create another folder called SHP, which is the shapefile. Okay, that is the short form of the shapefile. And then I'll still create another folder called the project, which that is the folder where I'll save my project. All the data that I'll be creating, all the shapefile I'll be creating, either line, point, or polygons, is going to be saved inside the SHP. Then after you finish your work, or as long if you want to save this your project, okay, this is untitled project. Now if you want to save it, you cannot save it inside the project, so that you don't save it in the shapefile, so that there will be no mix up, right? You have a proper data organization. All right, so I'll still create a new folder, and then I call it map. Okay, so that when you finish your work, when you want to produce export your final map, you can be able to have that. Okay, right, so continue. So I have this three folder, right? So what I will do is that based on this, we are going to create a shapefile, right? So I'll click on shapefile, so that I open the shapefile, then I call it maybe I call it plots, because I call it plots. Okay, I call it plots. So I'll click on save from here. So I've saved it to this particular directory, desktop tutorial GIS training SHP, and the file name is plot, or the layer name is plot. Under the file encoding, we leave it as system, under the geometric type, now we are talking about plots. Okay, if you leave it as points, then we are just going to pick possibly the center of all the plots within your local government or within your community. But let's assume I put it as polygon, so we need to digitize the plots. Let's say the boundary of all the plots. Okay, so in that case, that is okay from there. Now here it has to do with the field, that is the attribute table. Okay, the attribute information of the layer that you are creating. All right. So how do you add those informations? What we need to do is now this is a plot, right? What do you need to add? What is the information that is supposed to add to this polygon that you are creating? Based on the fact it's a plot. Possibly we need to know the name of the owner. Okay. Let me just say the landowner. Land or plot owner. Okay, and then it's going to be a text, and possibly we increase the length to 200. Length has to do with the number of the alphabet you are going to increase. So if you are in a community where their names are very long, you actually need to increase it even more than this 200. Alright, so if that is okay, I'll click on add. Then let's say we still need to know the plot number, possibly plot number. Hello, and then now the plot number has to be whole number, right? Okay, so 10 digits is okay, so I'll add list. Let's assume the land size, possibly the size of the land size. Okay, now the land size has to be decimal. Okay, and we can leave it at 20, and the precision is 2. That is, the precision has to do with the number of decimal places at the end of the point. Okay, so I'll add. So let's assume this is okay. Then I will have to click OK. Now, what you need to understand is that, for example, my OK button is at the bottom, and I cannot be able to access it based on my screen resolution. So what I'll do is I'll click and drag it down, and then I'll move it up. So in case you encounter stuff like this with your own system as well, you can do the same thing. Then I click OK from here. Okay, so you see we have the plot here. Alright, so now if you have your plot, this is the layer that we just created, which is plot. I click on it, and then I click on toggle editing. Toggle editing means start editing. You have to make this particular layer that you create active, if not it will not work, right? Now the next thing is saved, right? This means save layer, that is save to this particular layer that I just created. Now the reason why it's not active is the fact that we have not added anything. Okay, we just created a new layer. Okay, so nothing to save, right? So the next one is for us to add to the polygon now, which is for us to add something. Okay, so if you add anything now, you discover that the save is going to be active. So remember to always click on this save. Okay, there's a difference between this save and this save. This save means you are saving your project, while this save means you are saving to this layer. So even though if you click on this save, if you digitize something or you add anything and you click here in this save, and then you forget to save this, your layer will still be intact because you have already saved your layer. The only thing is that you are going to load it afresh to a new QGIS environment. But if you click this save and you save it, which is saving the project, and then you forget to save the layer itself, your data will lose because you did not save the layer. So please take note of that. So I'll click on add polygon. Then you start digitizing, you click OK, and then you change direction, and then you change direction. And let's assume this is a plot of land belonging to somebody, let's say to Mr. John. So let's say the landowner name is John. Yeah. Okay, let's say John Peter. Okay, so now the plot size, the plot number can be auto-generated. Let's assume the plot number is, based on fact, is the first one. Let's assume we put it at 01. Okay, now the land size, you don't need to calculate the land size because the software would automatically give you the size of the land, which is the size of this polygon that we just digitized. So we can leave that place blank. We can calculate that later. Okay, we can generate that later. So I'll click OK, and then we have the polygon. You can continue digitizing, and then you have more space. Okay, so you have more plot of land belonging to different individual, all right, landowner. Now another thing you need to understand is that even though you did not fill the attribute information, okay, you can still click later on. You can go back and fill it. Okay, now another thing that I want us to consider again is the fact that when we are digitizing, there are spaces here. So even though if I'm trying to get it right, it's not always, it's difficult for you to get it and for it to match, right? And then it is wrong for you to digitize a land. Possibly maybe you are giving a kind of allocation. Let's say you are using QGIS for land administration, and then you leave this kind of space blank. You understand? Definitely, who is the owner of this land? Nobody, which is not right. So the land has to join. Okay, after this is another person, so the line has to join. Okay, like if you see zoom here, this one actually overlap, if you see. So what you do to avoid it is object snap. Like if you make use of AutoCAD, there's something they call object snap. Okay, here in QGIS they call it snapping option. Okay, so I'll click on snapping option, and then I'll toggle this on. All layer, you should snap all layers, the vertices and segment, and then this is tolerance, that is the distance at which you want your cursor to be before it to snap. So let's assume I leave it at 5. Okay, I leave it as bezier, topology editing, and intersection. So you see, if you look at it now, I see that it's snapping now. So I can close this, and then I come here, you see that it snaps. So I digitize, okay, and digitize, click here, and then I come here, I'll snap this edge. Alright, click. Even though I not fill the field, I can still click OK. So now you see that this one is sharp, like it's joined together. Okay, you can go up and digitize this as well. Okay, alright, click, and then I click OK. So this is how you digitize. Now for you to create, this is polygon, right? Now the same process, going to layer, create layer, new shapefile. The same process that we follow by selecting, go to place, and write the name of the point, what you are going to, the information. So let's assume you want to create a point, you do the same thing. Okay, so all this is the same, right? So if you want to point, the only thing is that under your geometric type you change to point. Okay, if you want line, under your geometric type you change it to line. Okay, that is the only difference. So if you want to, you can create your point, line, and polygon. Okay, and the aspect of digitization of all of them is still the same thing. Okay, so I think this explains how you can be able to create a shapefile in QGIS and possibly digitize both line, point, and polygon. Okay, now for this, your practice, what you are going to do is that as you can see, I digitize this plot of land, okay, just for, okay, in an empty space. Now there's no base map, there's no satellite image, so we are just assuming. Okay, but the right thing to do is that either you have a coordinate, somebody pick a coordinate for you to follow it and digitize, or you have the base map, okay, that guides you on how to digitize those plots. Okay, but now for this first lesson, we are going to work in an empty environment. So I just digitize this 5. So what you're required to do is that you're going to digitize let's say 20. You're going to digitize 20 now in one, let's say in a horizontal, like this is in horizontal line, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to digitize 20 along this line, then you digitize another 20 along this line. That is a complete block, okay, of a layout, right? Then you give a space, which is a road, and then digitize another 20, which is 40. So at the end you get up to like 200 plots of land with a space in between them. and then you create a line and that is the road between them, and then create a point and put point on top of each, at the center of each of the plot of land. Okay, so if you do that, you screenshot it and send to us and submit. Okay, so this is your first lesson on QGIS. Thank you very much for your time and have a good practice.